I do have a question for you, man.
Yeah, yeah.
How long has this been running, and what prompted you to start it?
Careers matter. Careers matter has been. So I started Careers Matter in one format in during COVID. I was a recruiter at the
Right.
time. I run a recruitment business. Recruitment, in particularly the area that I was dealing during that COVID period, was a little bit flat. And so I looked at doing something else to bring a bit more meaning to what I was about as much as anything. But also the whole point is I can help people to transition their career into what
Hmm.
they would like it to be, as opposed to what they find themselves with, if that makes sense.
That makes
um,
sense.
and I realise that I have a lot of knowledge of the recruitment sector, and I know how that works, and I know
Hmm.
how to use what I had in recruitment to help people to actually get the control they need for their own career.
Mm.
And here we are. So I after COVID sort of died the death a little bit, I got I went back into recruitment because I needed money, and I
Who
sort of
does it?
I sort of exhausted the recruitment sector for a few years until I've done actually fully 20 years in recruitment. And then I decided to give up with recruitment altogether and just concentrate on Careers Matter. Uh,
Right.
so I've been running Careers Matter full time since 2023. And as I said, the reason for it is because I want to help people like you
Hmm.
get the life that you really want, as opposed to having to rely on a system that's flawed.
That's really quite very great to hear actually, James. And I think from my perspective, one of the reasons I've joined today as well is I'm kind of seeing that recent redundancy, and I mean, not necessarily trying to shift or into a new career path or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just finding lack of response on job applications and actually connecting with the right recruiters for my
Mm.
industry as well, to be quite tough, to be fair.
Yep.
So yeah, I think from what you're saying, I'm really looking forward to what you've got to say as well.
Okay. Well, today's session is an interesting one. It's more mindset. It's more
Sure.
about what actually holds people back as much as anything else, from a mindset perspective. We're going to be talking specifically about the what well, it's not what I call, it's what a guy called Harv Eker calls the money blueprint. And actually, you asked me why I started this. I sort of started this when I read T. Harv Eker's book, Secret of the Millionaire Mind, which was really enlightening to me at the time. And what we're going to get in today is about how your subconscious mind is programming just about everything you do. And the reason why I'm going to be talking about the subconscious mind, it programming what you do, is we've all got preset ideas and thought,
Hmm.
and they stop us from being able to actually do what we want to do. And if you want to do things differently, the first thing you've got to do is understand that in order to do things differently, you've got to think differently.
Makes
Um,
sense. Yeah.
so that's what today is really about. We're starting it. We're going to talk about the money blueprint, and how that sort of, if you like, controls your your financial well-being. You're only as wealthy as you think you should be. It's a simple, that's what it is. That's what the money blueprint is. But I'll go into that in a bit more detail later. Um, the but as I said, I read that book, and then I thought that's interesting. I wanted to discover more, so I picked up another book. I didn't actually. I went online and I did some research as to other books that were going to sort of build on that. And I came across a guy called Dean Graziosi, who you may or may not have heard of. Dean Graziosi is an American entrepreneur. He runs a company called Mastermind, He works very closely with Tony Robbins, who you almost certainly will have heard of.
Hmm.
And Dean wrote a book called not Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, that's that one here. What was it called now? The Habits of a Millionaire. I'll get there in a second because I've completely forgot what it's called.
No
It's all
problem.
right. We all have the same problem.
I've got it. It'll be there in a second. It's just eluding me, the name of it. And of course, it won't be at the top of my list of books that I'm reading at the moment because I'm reading something completely different. Where's my books? But there you go. Millionaire Success Habits. That's it. Which I recommend. I highly recommend Millionaire Success Habits. I recommend the Secrets of the Millionaire Mind as well. But basically, Dean wrote a book about basically looking at all the habits that millionaires have. Success, if you like, because success leaves clues. Look at the habits that these people do, because if you want to be like them, you have to be doing the sorts of things that they're doing. What are they doing all the time? And that's what that book is more or less about. I got into, I built on that. I've followed Dean. I've been following Dean now since then. My whole business is predicated upon his mastermind system. So I've got the actual workings and the background workings and stuff like that is all based upon mastermind. So that's the tools and everything. Then there's a lot of other people who I'd recommend and this is all about building up what's the word for it, with an environment, an ecosystem, if you like, of success. So you look at who's successful, how they've been successful. You go on to what they do. You look at what they do, and you take from their success, etc., etc. One of the biggest books that have done that in history is probably Think Rich to Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I would note again, if you've not read it, you should read it. It's a product of its time. It came out in he spent 25 years researching it, talking to 500 of the richest people in America at the time. People like Andrew Carnegie, Andrew Carnegie actually set up Napoleon Hill to write the book. But Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Edwin Barnes, there's a load of names from that period. He interviewed all these people and he came up with 13 principles of how to become rich, how to think rich to become rich. So that the whole emphasis there is the more you think to be rich, the more likely you are to be rich. That's why it's Think Rich to Grow Rich. Or as Hardecker says, think rich to get rich. It's the same thing. And you part of the money blueprint where people think, oh, rich is wrong, rich is bad. No, it's not. Without money, you can't do anything. There's nothing wrong with having money. It gives you so much more control. It gives you so much more in your life. And all this nonsense about I've got money, somebody else hasn't is rubbish. The more you want to do, the more money you need to do it. It's a simple, it's really quite a basic thing. Anyway, you're getting the preview of what I'm going to talk about in about.
That's all great.
Preview, yeah, good.
So that's the sort of things that I'm going to be discussing. And hopefully a few more people join. The thing with this is you never know how many people are going to join. I've got something like about 100 and something people signed up over the period into SCM, Strategic Career Mastery, and any one of them is sent a link to join. So as soon as you've registered, I run these every 2 weeks. You can join. It's completely free. Obviously, there's a purchase path to it.
Mhm.
I'll open this a second. This is Michael. Admit. Let me just. Let's disable the waiting room. There is obviously products and solutions that I sell, and I will talk about those in a moment. Towards the end of this, I'll show you my course and stuff like that. But SCM is free. The fortnightly live presentations that I do is completely free. If you're in that group, and you are because you signed up for this, you'll get weekly email, which is meant to give you something. It's meant to give you more details and help and advice, etc., etc. So I send one of those out each week. One of them's usually to do with the subject, and the other one's to build upon the whole concept of strategic careers. So that's completely free. And then, of course, I've got the people that join that in that fortnight, that from sort of now to the next one, they sort of join. So I never know how many people are going to come onto this. I've had something like about 25 people sign up. So typically, if I've got 25 people sign up, I'll probably get 5 or 6 of those come onto it. And then hopefully I'll get some of the people that have been on before will come back. A lot of people, they watch it off the replay, which is fine. I'm quite happy with people watching it off the replay. My whole sort of ethos here is to give people what they want, and then when they're ready, they'll come on board with other stuff that I have to do, which is more of a premium. So I expect that this will probably take about 40-45 minutes. I probably, what I plan to sort of say will likely take 20-25 minutes, and then questions and things like that. But as I say, if questions come out in the meantime, we can just discuss what we as and when. So I'm quite happy for that. At the end, I'll introduce you to the Strategic Career Mastery program as a whole, give you a little bit of background as to what that is about, and what you would get from taking part in it. I'm going to crack on now. We've got 5 people. I expect them all to join. If not, as I say, a lot of people do watch this off of the replay. So welcome to Strategic Career Mastery. Today I'm talking, as I said, about mindset, your money blueprint. I was just saying to a couple of guys earlier on that about COVID time, I read a book by a guy called T. Harv Eker called Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. And in that, I discovered for the first time of really understanding how the mind works, if you like, was that we have a lot of pre-programming. We are pre-programmed in so many ways to what we actually think. A quote from a guy called Bob Proctor is that paradigms, which are pre-programming, they control your habitual behavior, and almost all of your behavior is habitual. If you look at another person that I spend a lot of time researching and following, a guy called Joe Dispenza, he talks about the subconscious mind in a lot of detail, and essentially, from when you were a child, you developed a lot of notions and ideas which have effectively controlled how we live our life. For example, your money blueprint. This is how you perceive money, and it is restricting, governing, determining what you're capable of earning, how much you are worth. And you know, if you think back to when you were a child, the sorts of beliefs that you were given, and it's different for different people, of course, but when you sort of get things like money is the root of all evil, which is a misquote from the Bible, or you get, you know, this isn't for the likes of us, we're not meant to have that, or you get the other belief systems that people that have money are basically evil. They've got that, they've had to get that because you know, or in order to have that money, they must have done something wrong to get it. You know, there's this ridiculous notion that goes around today that anybody that's got money is avoiding tax. There's this big thing. It's a Labour thing that's, in my opinion, it's a Labour thing that's being pushed out there to sort of get the idea that yeah, anybody that's wealthy, they need to be taxed to death because they've only ever been, you know, got that money through the various methods, etc., etc. It's a blueprint. It's a belief system that people have developed that's been impregnated into them. When you're a child, from probably, well, from as soon as you're born, pretty much up to probably about 12, you take it all in. Everything that comes in is accepted. It's almost accepted without question. Certainly, the younger you are, the more you believe it, the more you just take it in. I remember watching Robert Winston when he was talking about that. You know, how kids are pretty much an open book at the start of their life, and as they sort of develop, yeah, then they get more reasoning, etc. But when there's no reasoning, they just take it all. They believe everything their parents say. Certainly their teachers, their parents, anybody that's important to them, and they're told is going to be telling them the truth. They just absorb it. It's just taken in. Hence, Santa's real, isn't he? and you know, so that forms a lot of our belief patterns from when we're very young. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the way it is. It forms who we are. As I said, I think it's about 95% of who we are is governed through our subconscious, and everything we do, you know, imagine you're learning to drive. When you first learn to drive, it's a very conscious thing. You start not really knowing how to control your clutch, your accelerator, your brake, etc., and it's a bit stuttering and stumbling at the start, and eventually you start to build patterns, and when you get more confidence with it, until now you probably don't even think about the mechanics of driving. You know, you just drive, you just start the car, off you go, and everything, it's all built in. It's become habitual to a large extent. Things that sort of come in at you will impact you, but the actual mechanics of driving has become habitual, and that's how the mind works. It builds up patterns. The term is neuroplasticity. You build up patterns, and you can reprogram that, by the way. So neuroplasticity is neurons that fire together, wire together. So as you start to develop a pattern, those neurons start forming the patterns in your brain, and you get behavioral traits, etc., etc. But you can change that. You can develop it. You can reprogram your mind. Now, I was talking about, go back to the money blueprint. This is what is holding a lot of us back from actually earning what we really want to earn. The money blueprint is the way you think about money, what you believe about money. It's what you believe about who your identity or your money identity is. And so therefore, and this is quite interesting when I read this in the book Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, and then I looked at my own life and how I had always only had a certain level of income, and whenever you sort of go beyond that, there's a correction mechanism that starts building in. So if you suddenly you get to earn up here where you're not, where it's not, you're not used to it, you're not comfortable with it, it's not what you're about, then very often it will balance itself. One of the things that you will probably be aware of is a lot of people that have won the lottery. So many of them, I mean, I don't know about those that have won hundreds of millions, but certainly those that have won a few million here and there, a lot of those lose that money very quickly. They've got it, it's there, and they just spend it, and it just goes, and they don't have it anymore because it's not who they are. And if they're going to do something with it, they've got to change their identity to how they perceive the money, and they've got to start seeing things from a different perspective. One of my neighbours, when we were talking about the lottery, said to me, can you imagine if you win the lottery, all your dreams have got, you've got nothing more to dream about. Everything that you've ever dreamed about is fulfilled. And I remember thinking, that is such a limited belief, that you can only have dreams that are enabled by how much money you've got. How about if you've got more money, it gives you more power to do more things with it, and therefore you can dream bigger about what you really want to achieve, what you want to, where you want to get to. I'm going to pause at that, just ask if there's any questions, if anybody's thinking that my ramblings are going off on a tangent or whatever. Has anybody got any questions for now?
Not for me at the moment.
Okay.
Nah, good here. Thank you.
Oh, good.
So why am I talking about the money blueprint? Why the money blueprint? Well, this is, and what's it got to do with your career? Well, I think there's an obvious connection. How much money you've got is about your career. Your career enables your life. They're inextricably linked. You can't have the life you want unless your career enables it, unless you're bringing in the money that's going to facilitate what you want to do. One of the earlier ones of these sessions I did was about asking yourself the question, what is it I really want? And understanding what it is you really, really want from your life. When you understand what you really, really want from your life, and then can focus on that, then you've got to be able to enable that to happen. And that's all about the programming, your mind, your mental, your subconscious programming. Let's talk about me for a second, just as an example. What do I really want at the moment? We were discussing this earlier on today as well. Careers matter for me is about enabling people to transform their life to get the career that they really want, so that it enables them to live the life that they want. So what I want is, I want to build my business to a level where I know I am impacting a lot of people's lives, and I've put a number on it. So what I really want is that each month I can turn over 100,000, because that means when I'm turning that amount of money over, that means that I'm impacting a certain number of people, a significant number of people, that I'm changing people's lives, that I'm helping them to get what they want from their life. What I really want then is to be able to impact enough people, sufficient people, a significant number of people. I don't know about enough people, a significant number of people that I can help them to develop their career and get the life that they really want. My statement, if you like, I've just been sort of amending this slightly, but it's as simple as this. You know, when I'm earning 100 million, I can impact a significant number of people that they can transform rather their life from being, what's the word for it, from you know, being limited, from being limited, from being drifting, from not getting exactly where they want to get to getting exactly where they want to be, to live the life, to have the reward, be fulfilled, to be prosperous. So my transformation is from lack of control in their life to control of their life. That's the transformation that I'm looking to bring to people. That's what I want. Now, in order to do that, I've got to be, you know, I've got to, first of all, I've got to believe that I am capable, that I have the ability, that I have the knowledge to actually convey to people, to take them on that journey, that I've got the methodology that will get them from where they are to where they need to be, that I can give them the control of their career that I'm saying that I can give them. That's a belief. I've got to have the knowledge, but I've got to believe I have the knowledge. If I don't believe I've got the knowledge, it's not going to happen. If I don't believe that it's something that I can achieve, then I'm not going to achieve it. So again, we come back to what your subconscious is telling you. How do you get control of your subconscious? How do you change what your beliefs are to what you really want them to be? Visioning. There's the word. The word is really about, as I said earlier, neurons that fire together, wire together. It's building patterns that tell you that help to develop the way you think, and by visioning what it is that you want to do, by getting a clear vision of what you want to accomplish, and then feeling what that's going to be like. Now, this is an important detail, because you can't just say, I want, I want more money. Let's say I want to have £1 million, because what that's saying is I don't have £1 million. And when you think in terms of what you don't have, then that's what you're going to keep. You're going to stay with not having the £1 million. You have to see this as, I have that £1 million already. When you see it as, I have that £1 million already, the subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. And because it doesn't understand what's the difference, then it treats it as though it's real, and that programming becomes a part of who you are. For example, let me give you a sporting analogy of that. If you're a golfer and you imagine a golf shot, that imagination of that golf shot, and you rehearse it, mental rehearsal, and you rehearse it exactly as you want that golf shot to be, and then you go and address that golf shot, you are more likely to actually swing that golf shot you've just been imagining. You have to believe it, you have to envisage it, you have to feel the whole thing. But the process, this sporting analogy, it works across many sports, is exactly how top athletes work through mental attitude, if you like, through mental rehearsal, to achieve what they want in their sport. There's been several tests done on all of this sort of thing. A person who goes into a gym and lifts weights will build up a certain amount of muscle. They have shown that by mentally rehearsing lifting that weight, you can still build up muscle. It's not the same quantity, it's not the same amount, but the mental rehearsal of lifting those weights will help you to develop muscle. It will also help you to develop the skills and the abilities that you need. Piano playing, you can rehearse how you're going to play a piano. I don't know enough about this to actually know, but keyboard patterns and things like that, you can rehearse this in your mind and you will build up that ability. People have found that, or it's been found that people that do this mental rehearsal, when they then come to the keyboard, they are much better, more proficient at what they're doing on the keyboard. It's a fact. These things happen, and it works. It works in all aspects of your life. So we'll come back to what I was saying here: visualizing. Mental rehearsal is another way of putting it. So we mentally rehearse what it is we want to attain, where we want to get to, what that feels like, how that is, how that makes us feel, the impact it's having on others, what people around us are thinking about that. You do it as though it's real, as though it's already happened. If you don't do it from that perspective, it doesn't have the same impact. In fact, it can have the opposite impact. If you do it from the impact of or the point of view that I've already achieved this, I've got it already, and the emotions that are attached with that, and what you're going to be doing on a daily basis, visualizing. This is what visualizing is about. That will help you to reprogram and set up the routines in your subconscious that help you to then move on to actually bring that event into being. It's not mystical, it's not magical. There is no wand that you wave and it happens. As T. Harv Eker said, I've done an awful lot of visualizing. I've done an awful lot of mental exercise. I've meditated. I've done all of that, and no bag of money's ever landed on my desk. It's not magic, but the more you do it, the more you rehearse, the more you focus on what you want to achieve in your life, the more you're drawn to it, the more synchronicities in your life. So you will see things that open for you. It's not magic. It's actually called the RAS, the reticular activating system. As you become aware of things, then you become more aware and you see those things happening. And so as your mind becomes programmed in a certain direction, the reticular activating system kicks in and you start to notice things that you see opportunity, you meet with people that are going to enhance what you're going to do, etc., etc. It's the way it's the way you start to think in a completely different mindset, and therefore doors open to you. Therefore, your ability to achieve what you're looking at it's almost automated. You draw it to you, you attract it. It's the law of attraction. This is another session I did. I think the last session I did, the law of attraction. You start to attract these things to you. Again, it's not magic. This is just the way it works. Has anybody got any questions so far on that? While I have a drink of water. So I'm going to ask you a question.
No, all makes sense.
Yep, cool. I'm going to ask you all a question. Do you recognize any of what I'm saying in your life? Is any of this making sense? You say it's making sense, but is any of this, can you actually see it in your life?
Yeah, I'll talk again. I mean, the whole concept of money being an enabler, I'm obsessed with that. I think that's because life for me is about what money enables you to do rather than actually having the money. So the points opened up on that really resonates.
Yep.
some of the other bits you're talking about, it's interesting. I've got a 15-year-old daughter, and she keeps talking to me about manifesting. I'll put my camera on as well, actually. So I turned it off because I was just sitting there. So she talks to me a lot about manifesting, and I find it fascinating coming from someone who's, a fair few years younger than me. But I get it, right? I mean, I write in a journal. I do sort of vision. I write, create visionary pictures and mind maps. And I think a whole lot of what you're talking about, and certainly some of the stuff that I've read that you've posted on LinkedIn, etc. It's so much. This is about mindset, and I think the challenge at the minute, and I'll stop as the others want to talk. But the challenge at the minute is, I think, where we're trying to operate, for, getting another job, contract, evolving our career. The rule book has almost been ripped up from where it was 2 years ago, and definitely 5-10 years ago. So a lot of what we're just starting to talk about, I think, is about how you can maybe reposition yourself to operate with a new operating system in the world. There you go.
I'm going to actually turn it back onto that momentarily. So yeah, that's a good intro into it. But anybody else?
I agree with Michael. I think I see exactly what he's saying and definitely agree. I guess everything you are saying make perfect sense.
Yeah.
However, that's at least what I see in my reality. This idea of visualizing and imagining and going beyond what we normally think is a bit constrained by I don't know, for example, in my case it's looking for a new job. This really restricts my horizon, let's say, and pushes me to prefer a short-term solution rather than a medium long-term solution, because anyway, to that mid long-term solution I need to get to, and it's not clear how to get to that.
Thanks for that, Giuseppe, because again, as I was saying to Michael now, that's the next sort of, I'm going to cut into that in just a second, exactly that. Any other comments for now? So let me cut into that then. This is also by way of introduction back into my program to a certain extent. How you get a job. I want to change your whole attitude to that question. How do I get a job? I want it to become more how am I in control of my career? Not how I get a job, because this is the mindset shift that I want to bring about. I want to bring about the mindset shift of being an employee to being in control of your career, to being the person that is in demand in the market, to being the person that is no longer asking for a job, but is offering a solution, to being the person that is no longer seen as an applicant, but more as somebody that has got a service to offer. In other words, to consider yourself more in terms of being a business than being an employee. The thing with an employee, the relationship of an employee to an employer is a subservient one. However you look at it, it is. They are in control of that relationship. To a large extent, you've got a certain amount of room for negotiation, but to a large extent, you get told what the job is you're going to do. You get told how much you're going to get paid for it. You get told how much time you can spend doing it, or how much time off you can have. You get told everything. You are an employee. You are the servant of the business of that company. And if that's the way employment works. It just is. You know that. But if you consider yourself in a different light, now you then become in control. If you see yourself as providing a service to an organization, then it puts you back in to a certain level of control. You can do this into a permanent role for sure, but only where that permanent role serves your ultimate goal. You can do this into a contract for sure, but only where that contract serves your goal. You can do this in a consultancy, but only where that consultancy serves your goal. Or you can do this as your own business, which is broadening the whole concept. I mean, I'll tell you a little story of somebody that I used to work for as a recruiter. So I used to find him people for a company called Vanco. This was way back in the noughties. So Vanco disappeared in 2008-9, became Reliance Globalcom. And this guy had he put together the commercial deals around what Vanco did, which was providing a virtual network for organizations. So they would they didn't have their own network. They put together a virtual network from other suppliers, etc. So they'd use BT, Telecom Italia, etc. And they'd put together the network. And this guy put all the commercials around that. And he decided that, he didn't need to do that for Vanco. He could go and offer exactly what he was doing for them, those commercials. He could go into an organization directly and offer exactly that to them. In other words, he could take out the middleman, Vanco, and offer it directly himself. So he's going in to manage the commercials for these organizations to put their own networks together, if you see what I mean. And so he suddenly realized that what he was offering to Vanco had significant value, but it also had significant value to the clients of Vanco, and he could take that directly. And he did. And he built up, I think he's still doing it, and he built up a significant business doing that. Took a little bit of time, obviously, to get the traction and what have you, but he knew what his value was. He knew what he had to offer that market, and he took that to the people that financial officers, basically chief financial officers in organizations who wanted to control their network costs. He went in there. I can control your network costs. This is what I can bring for you. Now, that mentality is the mentality that I'm talking to you about within my program's Strategic Career Mastery. I don't expect you all to go out and start a business in the same way that my friend Michael did, another Michael. But you can, if you see that. What I'm trying to say is, though, that you offer value to organizations. What you do in one business, you can do in any number of businesses. It's just knowing what it is that you specifically do that makes a difference, that adds impact, focusing and defining that down. Who is going to be interested in what it is you have to offer, taking that offer into them, and positioning yourself as a solution to the problems that they are having. In my friend's case, the solution was that the problems they were having is the financial cost of providing networks through companies, through network service providers. If you've got somebody who knows how it all hangs together, they can come in and they can control it, and they can help you to control it. You're reducing their costs significantly, and that's the principle that I want to get across within Strategic Career Mastery. Does that make sense? Have you got any questions about that? Because that is what my program is about.
All makes sense. Sorry, go on.
So sorry, go ahead, Michael.
Anyone? Anybody? Go for it, Giuseppe. You're on.
You go.
Okay. It makes perfect sense. Yeah, we may pass in product management. That's absolutely key in let's say in creating your value proposition, in pitching and understanding and pushing the concept of the value that you are going to deliver to the customer, in this case, the employer.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not that easy because it requires a bit of, let's say, conditions or a bit of elements that will enable you to that state that you can start doing what you are saying. There's some elements that must be in place before starting with the concept, but it makes perfect sense.
And on that, you're right. It's not easy. In actual fact, it's probably easier than you think, but it's not easy. Let me tell you where Careers Matter comes from that perspective. I was a headhunter. I run a recruitment business for 20 years. What I'm basically showing is how, as a headhunter, I won business, and how you, as a prospective business of your own, can take the same concept into the market for yourself. So how did I win business as a headhunter? What I would do is I would find somebody who had marketable skills and experience, value to take into the market. I would find somebody that was very much aligned to the industry that I wanted to operate into, and I would take their value, knock on doors, and get those doors to open for me. By showing the value, I mean, what it did for me as a business was shows the value of the candidates that I work with. But what it did more importantly was it got the doors open to conversations, to business-related conversations. And from them, I could develop my headhunting business. What it did for my candidates was it opened them up to potential opportunities, and they went in there not now as a candidate. They went in there in a completely different capacity, and there was more of a negotiation. They found themselves in a much stronger position within that relationship. And that's so I'm taking those principles that I learned as a headhunter and applying them into my program to help you to do exactly what we did for yourself.
Understood.
Yeah, you had something to say, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's probably taken your example of the other Michael. I've never had the product or, that sort of side to me, but I think probably having done it,
you probably have.
who knows? But I guess where my confidence has come from, having done sort of interim work for about 12 years, I know now exactly that point. I've got a kind of a good shopping list of things that I've done, which enables me to have that confident conversation around the value I can add. 15 years ago, I probably wouldn't have been as comfortable or confident to have that conversation. But actually, as an interim, and that's exactly where I want to stay in my career. I've got no interest in taking a permanent job anywhere else ever, because I'm a transformation director, and the nature of transformation means that when it's done, they don't need you anymore.
But that's perfect.
Yeah.
That is perfect for this methodology, because what is it? Here's a question. You don't need to answer this. What is it you transform? What is it I transform? I transform people's way of thinking.
Yeah.
From being a candidate-based way of thinking to being a business way of thinking. That's the essence of what I do. What's the essence of what you do? Think at that. What's the essence of what I transform? Who wants that transformation? That's your market.
Yeah.
What impact have you had in doing it? That's your value.
Yeah.
That's my program.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Whenever I used to go to a party about 15 years ago, I had a couple of mates who had really cool jobs, right? And I was always a bit kind of mumbly when it was, you know, what do I do? I deliver IT projects. And I probably did at that point, right? But to your point, for me, what I do, it's really cool. People, process, technology. I transform businesses. You spend a load of money on technology. It's absolutely useless if it's not adopted and if the business doesn't change and benefit from it. All of a sudden, that's cooler than my mate who's rocking in talking
Absolutely.
about.
One of my clients, Varsha, who's not on today. She would have been on today, except she's got to go to hospital.
Yeah.
She's a what's the word? Client engagement. So basically, she's the person that is the advocate for the client when you're selling them something to make sure that they get what they had out of it. And I thought that was a really innovative thing that happened a few years ago, where they suddenly realised that companies were buying things and had no idea what to do with them.
Yeah.
So get a client engagement manager to go in there and say, look, this is what you're going to get out of this if you use it properly. let me show you how it all works. let me show you what it can actually do for your business. And of course, the value of that is enormous, because they then buy all the upgrades. They then buy all the everything else that goes along with it. And of course, your testimonial, look what they got out of it. You can take that into your market, can't you?
Exactly. Yeah.
So sorry, that just sort of, when you were saying that, I was thinking, yeah, that's exactly, you're on the same path, you're on the same sort of different parts of it, but the same sort of idea. But it's exactly that. That's the program. Isaiah, Ajif, any questions?
No, all good at this time, eh?
Yeah. Very interesting. Just listening in here at the moment, so appreciate all the comments. But all being absorbed.
I'm showing you inside my course. This is a course. This is the reason why I'm doing this is because when I had a chat with one of my clients the other day, it was clear that it wasn't clear. If you see what I mean, exactly what I offer. This is a course. This is a standalone course. It costs £249. The offer is that you get this with this course. I'll also give you another. It's actually a video presentation of me showing how to put a CV together impactfully. It's a 70-minute program, and it shows you exactly how to build a CV. But you get that as well if you buy this course. But the course is £249. What are you getting for it? You're getting a complete transformation package that is standalone, that you can work through on your own. There are 4 modules. This is module 1, clarity and direction. If it works, there we go. Clarity and direction. That's packaged, as you can see. We talk about paradigm shift. That was the word I used earlier, if you remember. Defining exactly what you want. We've spoken about that already, but it's again, this is about you. What you're going to do is go through this and actually start to put that on paper. Put it down. What is it I really want? Michael's saying I'm a transformation director, but what is it you really want from an outcome from your life, and how can you use the fact that you're a transformation director to get it? So how can you actually develop more value into your whole process, so that you are actually generating more money for yourself to give you the life that you really want? That's the idea that I want out of that. Your identity, your unique value. So when you know what you want, what is it that you actually offer? What's the unique value? Very specifically, what too many people do is they go, I can go this way, I can go that way, I can go that way, I can go, no. One direction only. Keep it narrow, because the narrower you are, the more value you bring into that narrow market. the more likely you are to get the traction that you want. If you're spread out over a board, anybody can be spread out over a board thing. The trouble with that is there's nothing specific. It's generalist. It's too general. Defining your audience. Once you know who you are, what it is that you offer and the value, now you define who your market is. Building the bridges, skills, experience. So there comes a point where you've got to say, okay, if this is what I've got to make sure I've got all the package together, that I can do all of this, that I am the value that I am saying that I am. So do I need to upskill anywhere? Do I need to do any of those sorts of things? Then we go on to module 2, which is going back into that value again and working through it to actually understand what it is and how to present. So star achievements is what are the 5, 6, 7 biggest things that I've done in my life, in my career, that has really had an impact. And you put together a star presentation: situation, task, accomplishment, result. It's just a mechanism for telling a story, but those stories are based around what it is that you do that brings value, the difference you make, the value you have to offer into your potential client market. Using your message to build visibility and influence. So how do you, once you've got that, how do you move on to actually taking it out? And we're going into that in more detail. So module 3 is getting it done. So this is the implementation side of things. This is where we actually say, okay, you now know what you've done. You now know who your target audience is. You've now got to get a message out to your target audience. And this is the process for doing all of that. Getting it done from plan to performance, professional outreach process from first contact to qualified opportunity. So this is actually the meat of the program. This is, the module 2, module 3, they're the meat of the program. When you've got your messaging, you can knock on the doors, you can go through LinkedIn, you can go through email, you can even pick up the phone. However you're going to get through to your audience, how you're going to attract them to want to have that initial conversation, which is probably going to be a Zoom conversation or something similar to that, to the next detail meeting where you're actually talking about what the opportunity is about and how to transition to that. That's what this module is about. And then we go on to the final module, which is ongoing from there. You've just spent time developing a network, as it happens in what you've just done over the last 3 modules. What we're going to do now is maintain that network, keep everything going out into the network, so that people get to know who you are, what you do, and they are then knocking on your door. This is based upon a program, another presentation program that I did, which is another 70-minute or so presentation, slide-based presentation where I went through that. I tagged this little one on the end here, your LinkedIn profile. I might redo that program at some point, but what does your LinkedIn profile say about you, and making sure that it's saying the right thing. So this is positioning yourself in the market. That's the program. As I say, that standalone program like that, £249, plus I add in the CV transformation, which is so I have an ebook which shows you how to write a CV. What I've basically done is gone through that ebook and presented each section of it to how do you get out a CV that actually is going to work for you. It ties into this. Several bits in there are similar to this, but there's a lot to be. The two together are really quite effective. So that's the course. Now, on top of that, for people that take this course, I then offer the opportunity, and at the moment I haven't had one of these run yet because I need sufficient people into this to start selling up on it, which is to actually help you implement it. and that will be a program of 6 1-hour live sessions. It'll actually be 7 because there'll be an introductory one, of course, but then 6 detailed live sessions. 4 of them based around the first 3 modules of this, and then 2 which are going to be looking at the implementation results. So you've gone out there, you've started to take your messages out. What are you getting back? What's that saying? How can we improve that? How can we make it more impactful? How can we make sure you're going to get more connection with your market? And then the next one is once you've got those meetings, how do how have you managed with those meetings? So we're looking at that as well. So at the moment it's a 6 session, 45 to 75 minutes. Those sessions will be as needed. But I need 4 people, at least 4 people on each one of those to make it work. So what I'm looking to do, of course, is to sell this and then to upsell to the program itself. And we can work, once you're in a cohort, we can work through those 6 sessions. This is under development in terms of is it going to be enough? My objective is that we don't walk away from there until you're in a good position about the whole process and it's working for you. So it may become a little bit more than 6 sessions. The idea is that you don't, we're ongoing with this. When even if you finished it, I'm still here. You can contact me. You'll still have the group cohort. You can talk to each other, and we can help each other to progress and stuff like that. That's the idea of that particular program. As I say, at the moment, I need people to buy the course. I've got a few people who've got it, and then I can start asking people if they want to be part of that other cohort to do that. Does it look like it's something that would be valuable to you? That's the question that I've got, really.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, without putting you on the spot, is it something that you think you would want to buy at some point?
Yes, once I dig more into it, well, I will make my mind around, etc. Yeah.
Yeah. So my philosophy is there's sort of 3 levels to strategic career mastery. There's the free level, which is the fortnightly meetings that I do a presentation, and that's got the constant flow of information. That's there and that's there forever, and you're part of that forever. They will always be there. You can always join those sessions. The next sort of level is you buy the course. The next level is we turn that into the program, and then there's also going to be in the future a premium on top of that, which is a sort of a membership package where I will be doing more in-depth style of presentation that is additional to the course material. In other words, it goes further than the general presentations that I'm doing here. Once that's getting going and it's built a bit of momentum, maybe we can bring people in as guest speakers to that as well. But that's for the future at the moment. For the present, what I want to do is I want to get people into the group. I want to get people seeing the value that the course has to offer, getting some feedback on that so that I can develop it further, and obviously use that feedback also to sell the connection to a wider audience. This is the offer that I was speaking about, and if I go on to there, that QR code will link you straight to access that course to get the information, etc., etc. But I'll send you the link as well. So if you want to scan that now using your phone, it should open up the landing page for the course to give you more details of that. But I'll send you that as well. What I really want is to build this group. If you found this valuable, let other people know about it. Get them to go onto my website. There's always going to be a link on my website to join the Strategic Career Mastery Program. And then when they do that, they will get invited into these meetings. So if there's anybody that you know that's going to benefit from this, I'd be really grateful if you push that out to them. If you want to ask me anything more specifically about this, there'll also be a link in the email that I send out that will allow you to set up a 25-minute or 25-minute conversation with me. In 2 weeks' time, when the next one of these is, what's the subject of the next one of these is going to be how to stand out in a crowd.
Oh, that would be good.
Just a quick question, James. On the ones that you've done previously, is any of that information available to like do a rewatch, or is that kind of no?
No, it's all there on my YouTube account.
Okay. Yeah.
So when you get the it's just easier to do it this way. When you get the replay for this, that opens up in the YouTube anyway. So you're on my YouTube account there. If you go into there, there's a whole host of presentations that I've done.
Amazing. Thanks a lot.
Okay, no.